This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus and The Menace.
And this is episode number 67 of our awesome sports podcast that we do every week. And to headline everything, we have the starting lineup, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Eastwood segment. We got our high heat, which is the NFL preview of the NFC Division. And then we got our stud and dud of the week. All right,
we didn't come up with a common. I thought we had a color commentary, but I guess we didn't. Oh well.
That's fine.
We can kind of make up for it. We can kind of think of something reasonably stupid.
That'll be our tagline for the episode. Reasonably stupid.
Well, we can always recap some of the things going on in our primetime games, especially during the first week. Oh, but for me, the famous line of "when it rains, it pours" kind of comes with what this past week was for me. It was just a week where things just kept breaking. To start the week, we found out that our AC was out, and actually, funny enough, episode 66 was the first night of dealing with the AC being out. We managed to kind of gut it out for a day, but then we spent the next day over at my parents' house until we found out that the blower went on the AC. Lawnmower lost a bolt in the washer on Saturday. I got the parts that are on the way. That unfortunately was only like a $10 fix. And it was stupid that the parts, and I hate shipping sometimes, because you know it's bad when you've got a place that you pay $10 for the parts, but I paid more in shipping than I did in the actual parts. Yes. I've had this happen a couple of times when I've bought cards for decks, but it wasn't this bad.
Yeah.
Normally it's I spent maybe $5 in cards and I paid 11 because it was about $4 in shipping. About $5 in shipping. No, this was $10 for the parts. I'm thinking, maybe a $4.99 for shipping. Nope, it was $11 for shipping.
Where'd you get the parts at?
I ended up getting I grabbed the two actual parts that actually belong with the mower on Parts Tree. We just got the exact lawnmower parts that the model of the mower came with.
Oh, okay.
So we ended up actually getting the legit parts, instead of just getting a bolt and washer, a bolt that would fit it in the washer, and just hope for the best. And then actually, fortunately enough, we have our hot water had gone out, and we actually just got that replaced today. So it's all starting to slowly work its way back around, but when it rained, it poured, and certainly one other thing broke as well, but I don't know if I want to mention it now, or if it would be better for me to actually mention it during our primetime discussion, depending on if we want to unveil that.
If you want to, go ahead.
Oh, BTS of recording the primetime footage about during the third quarter, I had went to like slide my chair, like try and slide the chair back, but the chair was already falling apart for the record. But with where the chair normally would sit, it's like, oh, I've got the legs on the one end, and then there's no room really to kind of like slide it back because there's a end of carpet. For bit of the carpet catches onto the tail legs. My weight kind of goes over the top and shifts it back, and I end up taking a tumble while still playing Madden, no less. And still playing competent Madden. All of a sudden, my wife, who was actually counseling upstairs, hears a thud, asks, like, what happened? I'm in the middle of trying to play Madden, so I can't really respond. Don't want to pause to break up the mojo of it. And I said it was like, basically the only thing I ended up coming out with this was just like a laceration from the fall, and I am okay.
Well, that's good. I think it's funny the explanation
okay.
to your wife is like, what are you doing?
Oh, no, she understood. No, she completely understood. The biggest thing was that I was shockingly able to, like, go through that and have her not get mad. She understood that it was our spare dining room table chair, and it was already falling apart.
She's just like, all right, that's into that.
So we knew it was going to happen. So we knew it was going to happen. It was at the point where it was like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The when just happened to be very inopportune for me, and it kind of hurt. And it kind of hurt at first. Like, all of a sudden I realized, I'm like, oh, this was not quite how I intended it. I played the last bit of that game standing up. I edited it on this yard chair that we've kind of kept there until I end up deciding to borrow my dad's truck, actually bring my office chair in, where it's got some wheels.
There you go.
So I can kind of get away with that a little bit more. Where it's like I'm so used to having the wheels and a wireless, and the controller's wireless, so I don't really have to worry about that as much.
Dude, Spanish was in the game. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Fun!
That should be the meme. Just like EA Sports. It's in the game. Just like a straight out just thud.
Oh my, yeah, that's just a little bit of the BTS for you guys. But other than that, once all that kind of comes along, we've got some friends coming in town for the week. So fortunately, we now have a brand new AC blower and a brand new hot water heater for company coming in. So perfect timing for that.
There you go.
I'm working out all of the details for my 2 fantasy football leagues, which actually are both 8-teamers. I believe both of them are set to be 8-teamers. I named one team the preseason Streak Snappers, and I think you'll kind of like this last one I had. For the church league one, I said I'd name my team QB Team Has a Football Problem. Instead of my football team has a quarterback problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's that little, like... yeah, so that was... So you will hear from 2 different leagues for me this go around. Hopefully I'm able to kind of pick somewhat a bit of the same players.
As far as my fantasy football, I have 3 leagues, but I'm really only paying attention to 2, and because the third one is my my company league, and then the other 2 are like family leagues, friends and family leagues, and I'm not saying that the company league is a joke. I'm just saying I'm not paying as much attention to it because like I feel like I'm gonna be putting more energy into my other two leagues with the friends and family and whatnot. As far as what I've been doing, work has been work. Nothing's really changed there. I tried playing the new men as we've been doing the Super Bowl race stuff, and I've been the Chargers. Spence has been the Jaguars. Um, I'm just gonna put in a fair warning for behind the scenes. Week 2, whenever we do that, my recordings would be jank. So I think what I might do is just do a summary when we get to it. Now that I think about it.
And my main thing is that I love my PS5. The editing software is very, very limiting. So if I continue to do mine the way that I did for week 2, which is kind of that run the thing as I go along and then kind of go with the occasional confessional type of commentary, I'm going to have to keep the play art in as I will not have enough cuts to be able to get all of the play art out.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually was trying to do that for smoothness and continuity of the game, but if I have to kind of do things a little bit differently that way, then so be it.
Yeah.
And I also realized that I'm like, oh, I can use the previous videos to kind of do a previously on for that and kind of do it that way. I felt quite accomplished with trying to find like a little clip in there to deal with that and do it that way.
Yeah, I've been having some weird optimization stuff with Madden on PC, so that's what
this is the first run of that too. So there's a lot of bearing with EA for that, especially because now the PC is next gen.
Mm-hmm.
Or current gen, whichever way you really want to say it.
I mean, we had old gen for the longest time, so like Madden 20, I think was like the first time they did next gen on Xbox and PlayStation, and then, or actually it could have been Madden 21, but either way,
Madden
it's
21.
been like almost 4 years.
Yeah, this is the 4th year. Yeah, this is the 4th year with us having it on the PS5.
So, like, I mean, it was bound to happen that they're going to put it on next gen. I just didn't know how stable the game would be. I have some good days and bad days with the game, and week 2 was kind of showing the rust, or not really the rust, the bugs of the game, but it is what it is. I've also been playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and I'm waiting for Payday 3 to come out, and I'm not sure if I'm going to play Starfield when it comes out, but I have it on Game Pass, so there's that.
I am waiting on a good opportunity for me to eventually pick up Baldur's Gate. Yes,
I've heard really good things about that game.
Oh, yes, I've heard amazing things about Baldur's Gate, and I've got people who I can play with. It's not a matter of if I get Baldur's Gate. It's going to be when. I also have Spider-Man on pre-order as well, so I may have a small bit of time that I possibly take a little bit of magic to the back seat and try and get through that. I'm also trying to bang out as many of these Madden recordings as I possibly can before I pick up Baldur's Gate or Spider-Man, because once I pick up Baldur's Gate and start kind of working with a crew, I'm going to probably devote a little bit more time to that, and then some Spider-Man, and then just finding where I can find time for Spider-Man and all that too.
I'm jealous that you have Spider-Man pre-ordered. I want that game so bad.
I don't even know if I'm gonna keep it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I may shift that $5 over to Baldur's Gate. I may shift it over to something else and just ask for Spider-Man for Christmas. I'm considering doing Spider-Man 2, but at the same time, I also want to try and make sure that I find whichever game I want to ask for Christmas, or if I even want to ask for a game for Christmas, because I just have been trying to devote so much to some other things. And I've been doing more in-person stuff instead of my video games, but I find time to get a video game when I can. But that's just life.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be much different if I was having all this as a single guy rather than married and eventually wanting to try and work toward a family.
Yeah.
But with all of that said, let's get right into the sports. And speaking of kids, let's talk Munchkins playing baseball, or at least bigger Munchkins playing baseball. As we're going to have the Little League World Series. Curacao defeated Chinese Taipei 2-0 in the International Championship. California defeated Texas in the U.S. Championship. California wins the Little League World Series 6-5 over Curacao on a game-winning dinger by Luis Lappi after giving up a 4-run lead. Chinese Taipei blinks Texas 10-0 in 4 innings to take third place. The cause of Bronny James's cardiac arrests that he suffered was there was a congenital heart defect. So it kind of, I don't know the specifics, but kind of the congenital heart defect was a cause of that. The Spanish football president Luis Rubiales was suspended by FIFA following an unsolicited kiss on the lips to Jenny Hermoso after pretty much the Spanish Women's World Cup team won the whole thing. U.S. Open tennis kicks off this week. More on the concluding Grand Slam event later as the finals get closer. And I'll let Ruckus take the last one, as I then will introduce the Eastwood segment after.
Alrighty.
Oh, you have the Arizona State.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Arizona State imposed a 1-year bowl ban on itself following violations during the tail end of Herm Edwards' tenure.
They were trying to play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. Unfortunately, this game involved some recruiting violations and whatever else would have imposed a 1-year bowl ban.
They were trying to go distance.
Sorry. You don't play it to play, you play to win the game. And now it's time for our segment, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, and Ruckus, why don't we go ahead and kind of mix the order up a little bit here?
Alright.
What's kind of bad in sports this week? Start with the bad this week.
Well, the contract value for one Shohei Ohtani, it seems like a bad one in sports this week, apparently, because
it took a huge hit. Because everybody's like, oh, this guy's going to be worth $500 million. Like, he's thinking he's going to get, like, Patrick Mahomes money. Yeah, baseball money is a little more guaranteed than contract, but for a two-way player like that, you kind of need to really do a little CYA, as now Shohei Ohtani has an injured UCL. So I think the value on him is going to drop.
here's what I think about that. As far as his fielding goes, anyways, um, do we really think he was gonna get paid all that much to be a guy that pitches forever and hits forever? Because over time you're gonna have issues like that happen where your arms or your legs or whatnot give out or just start getting hurt. And he's at, in my opinion, because most of the time he was um, just kind of like a DH and or pitching and not really like doing a whole lot besides just hitting the ball far and running, obviously, to get to bases and whatnot. Like, he doesn't really field or anything besides whenever he pitches. So it's like, what would his value be even if you was a pitcher and doing all of that? Yes, he's like the next generational Babe Ruth when it comes to both pitching and hitting, and he's shown year in and year out that he is worth a lot of money, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of teams are skittish nowadays to pay this amount of money on just one player alone, and yes, his UCL is torn currently, so like he won't be able to pitch for a little while, and I think his hitting is going to maybe suffer a little bit, but I think he'll be fine.
Well, here's what honestly really needs to be done here. You have to do one of two things. You either A, you do not make Shohei Ohtani a starter. You put him in the pen. And then if you really need him to hit, the hard part about putting him in the pen is that it's a little bit more difficult to really warm him up. Like, to actually warm him up to pitch. But the hard part about this two-way player thing is what if he's a pitch? What if you want to put him into the bullpen? You really kind of can't.
Yeah, I was about to say that'd be impossible, because if you want him to hit, how the hell are you gonna like? I mean, I guess you could like preemptively warm him up in the pen and then have him pitch that next inning and then have him hit lead off or whatever.
Or if they've got like some type of warm up area in the clubhouse, but most of the time you generally will do that in a bullpen.
Yeah.
Like, you really don't. I don't know if the batting practice areas really have a good full 60 feet. Like, for the batting cages inside.
Has he had history of playing other positions besides pitching?
I think he also has a little bit of outfield too, but I don't think you can necessarily do that like make a little league switch for him.
I'm not saying make a little league switch. I'm saying like he either for because this is his second UCL tear, I think, right? In a matter of a couple of years.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be.
Because what I remember was 2020, or I think it was 2019 into 2020, he tore his UCL and then just didn't pitch for a year and continued hitting. And then the next year after that, he was pitching.
I think he was an outfielder at that point. So pretty much it's like, otherwise I think they just put him in right.
I don't think he was an outfielder. I thought he was a DH. He just didn't pitch. I didn't think I saw him in the outfield.
I think he might have had a little bit of outfield too.
Maybe I just need to look at the tape.
Right.
But yeah, like, I don't know if you necessarily need him to pitch. Yes, he's dominant on the mound, but I feel like if there's question marks, you might have to make a move to have him like in left field or right field, or just keep him as a DH and have him be an expensive designated hitter. I mean, Juan Carlos Stanton's kind of in that sense, but Ohtani has more ball control when it comes to and bat control. Because Giancarlo Stanton just looks like he's playing golf whenever he hits a swing. And his strikeout rate is ridiculous.
But the big thing about Giancarlo Stanton, I think Giancarlo Stanton is also much older. I believe Giancarlo is...
AKA Mike Stanton.
Yeah, AKA Mike Stanton. Yeah, Giancarlo is 33, while Shohei Ohtani, I believe, is still on the... Yeah, he doesn't turn 30 until next year.
I mean, what I was trying to say there was I think Ohtani is... I think at this point you're betting on him to be a hitter rather than be more pitching.
Yeah, but what kind of team is going to talk him out of that? And everybody wants him to pitch and hit because this is the first time we've seen it done in so long. The first time we've seen it done so long. The hype...
Tyler Stevenson, or what was the guy that played for the Reds that was a pitcher/hitter? Was it Tyler Stevenson, Michael Lorenzen, or someone else?
I'm not too sure.
Because I think Lorenzen played for the Tigers at one point after the Reds, and then went to the Phillies.
Yeah, but I don't even know if he was necessarily like a hitter and a pitcher. That's just the thing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you have all these people who want to see him do this. They really want to see this guy get paid. But I think this major injury, especially since now it's happened twice, and Shohei Ohtani's about to eventually approach the wrong side of 30, I think for people wanting to try and make the bet on him for that, I think this now gives him a reason to think twice. Or think a little bit longer and a little bit harder. I don't think he's going to be worth that $500 million like everybody thought. I don't even think he gets up into the $400 millions now. I don't even think you invest in him for that long of a contract. I think you're lucky to possibly see a 6-year, possibly see like maybe a 5 or 6 year 260 million with an opt-out in years 1 and 2, with really a major opt-out in years 1 and 2. Or in years 1 through 4. But the question is, like, who's really going to want to offer that? Especially because the Mets are in a situation where 2024 is a rebuilding year.
Maybe the Yankees or maybe someone else, but the Yankees already have their wallets kind of toast at this point with Judge's contract, and then you still have to pay off Mike's contract.
Well, it's a suicide mission for the Yankees to even try. I don't think the Yankees would get him. Plus, I think Shohei might have a little bit of a better run for it out in the West Coast. I think if he doesn't, and I wouldn't be surprised if it involves him staying in Los Angeles and becoming a Dodger, or maybe joining Yu Darvish and being a Slam Diego Padre, even though they have a lot of money kind of invested right now. Or going up to NorCal and becoming a Giant.
I mean, I could see him being either a Giant or a Padre. It'd be interesting to see if Yu Darvish and Shohei end up being on the same team, no matter if they're a Padre or a Giant. I think it'd be kind of hilarious if they were both Giants, because they both were on the Tokyo Giants at one point.
Yeah, they were on the Yomiuri. Yeah. Well, and speaking of that NL wildcard race and a few teams that we were speaking on, my good this week actually is that very respective wildcard race. Though the Philadelphia Phillies are pulling away for the top wildcard spot, being 4 games up on the Cubs, the 5 teams that are kind of in pursuit of the last 2 wildcard spots are the Cubs, the Diamondbacks at a half game out, the Giants at 1.5 out, the Reds at 1.5 out, and the Marlins at 3 games out. With, surprisingly enough, the San Diego Padres and the Washington Nationals at 8 games out. The Mets are at 9 games out, and I think pretty much the 3 sinking ships at this point are the Pittsburgh Pirates, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Colorado Rockies. Although that AL wildcard race is getting interesting here, with Boston now being within 5 games of the spot. And Toronto being 2.5. So we've got some good wildcard baseball coming up. At this point right now, Ruckus, who do you think takes the last 2 spots in the NL wildcard?
Because who did you say was near that spot? The Giants.
The 5 teams within 3.5 are the Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, Reds, Marlins. With
let's see. Realistically, I think probably somehow the Giants squeeze by, and then the Cubs.
I would love to see Cubs and Diamondbacks.
That would be cool.
But really, honestly, any of those 5 teams in there in that hunt are kind of like, they're not the most popular choices. The Giants are kind of that team that's right in there without really having a major superstar. The Reds have a major rising star in Ellie De La Cruz. The Marlins have a couple of guys, have had a couple of guys that have been hitting the ball well, like with Luis Arias hitting the ball well all year. The Cubs are just starting to really get their ball rolling. The Diamondbacks have shockingly played very well with Corbin Carroll. The Padres are coming around, and surprisingly, the Nationals have passed the Mets. But I mean, the Mets kind of just went and said, I'm out. I'm out. This is not working. And just hit the tank.
Yep.
And we actually have our first team mathematically eliminated. No surprise, the Oakland Athletics.
Don't you mean the Las Vegas Athletics?
Probably soon, but it's still Oakland for now. Still Oakland for now.
I just had to rub a little gunpowder in the wound. That's all.
Oh, but then on top of that, your Kansas City Royals are probably not entirely too far behind them.
Oh, I already wrote them off a long time ago, buddy.
Oh, I knew you did. You're more focused on football season now and the red in Kansas City rather than blue.
Dude, the sad part about it is, you know how, like, KU football isn't the greatest, but then whenever KU basketball comes around, all the KU people are like, once football's like halfway over, or like in the beginning, everybody's like, alright, we're waiting on KU basketball to start, because that's when we're actually That's like me with the Royals nowadays. It's like, alright, we'll be better in football. And then here comes the Chiefs.
Yep. And then the downright ugly awards this week. I'll let you take the first one. I've got a better one for the second.
All right. Well, this week we have, for the first one, we had the 49ers kickers situation where both were hurt in a span of 3 days with their kicking legs or whatnot. Jake Moody with his quad and Zane Gonzalez with his calf. Ouch.
Yeah. That's tough because really you don't have the money to kind of afford signing another kicker. But I think the Moody situation is a little more dicey to deal with than the Gonzalez one, though.
Beach
Because
says hold my beer as he helps you find a budget kicker.
well, that's probably true. But I'm going to say the power generation. But the power generation is a little more prominent coming off the leg from the quad than the calf. Because your quad is really also close enough to your hip that can kind of help the swing of your leg.
Yeah.
Or at least develop a good amount of power in the swing of your leg as it extends. Or as it flexes. As it flexes, because the hamstring's the extensor of that muscle. Of the muscles in your upper leg.
Hopefully they don't sign Matt Amendola. That guy is trash.
There's a couple of guys that they very well could have been considered like bad kickers.
I just remember when
see
Butt
if
Kicker
they
got
even-
hurt, they went to
Well,
Matt Amendola the second game or something like that.
Well, you guys don't even need to worry about anything like that. You got Justin Reed. You got Justin Reed who can kind of come in there and kick a bit. Yep. Trying to see. Nope. I don't think they've done any signing yet for a kicker.
Well, I mean, it is cutting time. Tomorrow we'll figure out around the afternoon
Yeah.
whenever they cut, so it'd be kind of dumb for them to be like, oh, we're going to add a kicker. Oh, by the way, we're going to have to cut you, in 12 hours. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Or actually, they could put him on
second
IR
ugly-
if it's that bad.
Yeah. The second ugly. I gotta go with the team that basically even Stephen A calls a walking accident waiting to happen. The Dallas Cowboys. And I don't know from a Commanders fan perspective that this may not be as ugly as it looks, but just the situation on it makes it messy enough. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones decides to go rogue and make a trade for Trey Lance. And taking really a flyer on him. So basically now San Francisco is the Brock Purdy show. But does Mike McCarthy or Dak Prescott even know that this is going on? Nope. There was no heads up to the head coach or QB1 of the team. And I even saw people like Dan Orlovsky and Louis Riddick just rip this to shreds. Like Orlovsky, from being a former NFL quarterback, says that this just looks bad. And I think Louis Riddick, from the GM side of it, looks and says is like, you could see exactly why Jerry Jones is kind of saying, this is make or break for Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. If you both don't succeed now, you're gone. That I think they'll both lose out. But speaking of an NFC team, we won't kind of speak on this division yet, but we will go right into the high heat of the NFL preview NFC. And we're going to kind of predict where we think the teams will place. And we're going to start with kind of the team that really is like the AL Central of the NFL, and that is the NFC South. This is the New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons, and Carolina Panthers.
Say Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well.
Yeah, I said Saints, Bucks, Falcons, and Panthers. Yeah, I did say that.
Okay, I was double checking. Here's what I think. I'll go from last to first. So, I think
Yep, that's exactly what we did.
I think last place goes to let's see. It's either the Panthers or Buccaneers. And then in second place, I think it's the Falcons.
Okay,
and then the Saints at number 1.
Okay, so I have in fourth place, I have the Carolina Panthers. I believe that even though Frank Reich has a pretty solid roster to build around, I believe there are too many pieces that have left and departed, in especially the Christian McCaffrey, the DJ Moore, there were too many pieces that were prominent to last year's success for them that departed, that I do not believe that the Carolina Panthers are going to have a lot of effective success in being able to get a whole lot going. In third place, I have the Atlanta Falcons. Now, why would you think that I don't have the Falcons going over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I believe that we are still going to see a couple of bumps in the road for Desmond Ridder as a passer. Are we going to see flashes of Desmond Ridder being great? Yes. But do I think that even with him being a young quarterback that there's going to be hiccups along the way that kind of will hold him back a little bit as a passer to try and hit guys like Drake London and Scotty Miller and Kyle Pitts? Yeah. I think you will. I think Atlanta is going to be a heavily favored, a heavy running team. But I don't know if Ridder, and I think Ridder's got some decent speed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ridder doesn't experience a good amount of success early enough. I wouldn't be surprised if Arthur Smith pulls the trigger and switches to a Taylor Heineke. Who has been known to kind of pull this underdog stuff around. I just don't know if Atlanta's going to have enough in the tank. In second place, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's got to find some way to get this to work.
I agree.
And if he can start really finding a way to get Mike Evans the rock, even though Mike Evans is on the wrong side of 30, but has had a 1,000-yard season in every single season of his career, I think if Baker Mayfield can find a good chemistry with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and then be able to see guys like a Ronnie Brown maybe make their way up, but Chase Edmonds kind of lead the way in the backfield. I think Tampa Bay defensively, if they stay healthy, is going to be good enough. I think it's going to be good enough, even though Devin White will want out. I think that they've got enough in the tank to kind of say, I think they've got this with like an Antoine Winfield. I think they could finish second. Granted that the records may not be great, but I think they can finish second. And my first place team will be the New Orleans Saints. What a difference a competent quarterback makes. Yes, I actually in this situation, I am calling Derek Carr a competent quarterback.
I'm not denying that.
At least I believe that Derek Carr is a competent enough quarterback to be able to put the Saints in a division win with even possibly an 8 to 9 win season. Just enough.
Yeah, what I see Derek Carr having a resurgence in his career, but I just don't know how much of it. Because I didn't see a whole lot of that with the Raiders, and I feel like because
whoa. There were a couple of years where Derek Carr had some good years in with the Raiders, but that was back when they were in Oakland.
I mean, what I'm trying to say is Carr, I think, will have a better time with the Saints than he did with the Raiders. Like, he'll have more weapons at his disposal. He'll have a better O-line. I think better sceneries or new place and scenery is good for him, and management was kind of crappy to him, even though I was dogging on him about being a terrible quarterback. But I mean, he's a rivalry player. I saw him do decent things, but I don't know. I think he will do better with the Saints. I hope he does, at least.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I see that Alvin Kamara is a little bit of a flight risk, especially because I think he potentially could have some things happen, like on the legal side. But you still have Jamal Williams, who is a good red zone touchdown getter. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas if he stays healthy. Jimmy Graham if he kind of keeps his head on straight. Taysom Hill, who probably is a wildcat quarterback at best, but I don't think he fits the offense anymore. But defensively, I think the Saints have it a little better. Cameron Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore is kind of that big name that you see there. And then the Honey Badger with Tyrann Mathieu. I believe that what we have going on here, the Saints, I think, have the talent level to win the division. Simple as that.
I mean, I saw what they did in the preseason, and I think they're going to do even better, even though the preseason's more of like a workout period rather than a let's try so hard that we almost like hurt ourselves kind of in a sense. Like they made it look easy out there.
Okay. All right, the NFC North.
All right.
What you got, Ruckus?
So, in last place, I have, drumroll please, The Chicago Bears. In third place, I have. I think the Green Bay Packers are gonna trickle down just a little bit. Second place, I have the Lions, and then in first, I have the Vikings.
In fourth place, it is going to come down to health. It is going to come down to health, and it's going to come down to really how effective Jordan Love will be versus how effective Justin Fields can be, because we know what Justin Fields is capable of if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, even in his college days too.
Otherwise, we're going to get a really good. Otherwise, if Justin Fields can't stay healthy, I think we're going to get a pretty decent dose of how interesting Tyson Bagent is going to look. As the hometown kid here may have very well won the QB2 spot in the Windy City. But I do not believe that the Chicago Bears will pass the Green Bay Packers this year. The Bears have potential, but I am going to put the Chicago Bears just barely a step behind. In third place, I have the Green Bay Packers. In second place, I have the Detroit Lions, who will get into the playoffs as a wild card team. Is one of my bold predictions. And in first place, to no surprise, Kirk Thuggins and the Minnesota Vikings.
You like that? You like that?
I actually do. I actually do, because he was because that all started in Washington.
Well, I like that.
Yes, that technically started in Washington.
Yeah, I saw on quarterback when they showed that. I thought it was hilarious. And then whenever he had the chain on his neck and dancing on the plane.
Oh, but Kirk Cousins, for me, that documentary turned him from a extremely vanilla quarterback in everybody's opinion to kind of just being one of the most well-liked and well-received quarterbacks in the league. And he lives very much under a different standard. Like, you know how Mahomes had all that stuff with, like, the big house and the... Like, Kirk Cousins' house was not that much bigger than... Like, it wasn't that much bigger than, like, just a standard house. Like, it wasn't like a lavish house with God knows how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. Kirk Cousins would certainly, I would think he would throw more touchdown passes than bathrooms in his house. He probably could throw as many touchdown passes as he did bathrooms in a game.
Dude, he could probably take the Browns to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't go that far. He probably could take the Browns to the wild card game. I wouldn't go that far. There was a point to my addressment, okay? There was a point.
Sorry, I heard toilet, and then I was like, oh, potty humor. Hardy har har.
But I do believe that the Vikings will win the division, and Detroit Lions should be in a great contention and really have a very good chance of getting a wild card spot. All right. Now to the NFC West.
Oh, NFC West.
No, not last but not least. We still got two divisions.
I bet.
We're now to the NFC West.
So, Rams,
this is the Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers.
All right. So fourth place, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Third place, Seattle Seahawks. Second place, the LA Rams, and then in first, I have the 49ers.
Okay, so for me, in fourth place, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I think there's just too many holes that Jonathan Gannon, the new coach, will need to kind of address and take care of. And starting the season with Kyler Murray on the PB list is not quite the best thing. In third place, I have the Los Angeles Rams. And I think the real issue is going to be Matthew Stafford and how he ends up gelling with the rest of his team. In second place, I have the Seattle Seahawks, another wild card team that I think is going to get there. I think Geno Smith is going to have another good year. And I have the San Francisco 49ers winning the NFC West. I believe that this will end up being the case so long as Brock Purdy remains healthy. Otherwise, they're going to be putting a nice big heavy dose on Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. And George Kittle won't get as many looks. So I think that San Francisco, just in the multiple versatile ways that they can win a game, is going to be how they win. Is how the NFC West is won. And last but not least, my division, the NFC East. Where's your head at on it, Ruckus?
Okay, I'm probably gonna get shunned as a co-host after this. Fourth place, Commander. No, I'm just kidding.
If
no.
you realistically did that, I wouldn't be surprised because the pundits have said that we would only win 4 games.
Okay, in all seriousness, I have in fourth place, I have the Cowboys already being eliminated from playoff contention, and the season hasn't even started. And then in third place,
my gosh, that's like a Stephen A. take.
I mean, I've seen all the jokes about the Cowboys and how they haven't won a ring in a while, and
They haven't won a ring. They haven't won a ring since 1996.
And anyways, I think Cowboys are in fourth. Unless they take their head out of their butt, or at least take Jerry Jones's burner away or something. I don't know how they're going to function. Yeah, there's no stopping that freight train. Third place, I'm gonna go with the Giants because Danny Dimes. I think he got lucky last season, and they also got very lucky with Saquon being healthy for as long as he was last season. I was surprised he didn't go down with an injury early in the season like he did the past couple seasons. If they stay healthy, I think they'll be a third place contender. And then your Washington Commanders, I have as the second place team. And then I have the Eagles in first.
So you finally have a repeat division winner in the NFC East. I would love to have my Commanders take the division, but I think some things are just a little bit too new to really see that take off. And I think with that newness may come a little bit of hiccup. In fourth place, I have the New York Giants. And the reason why I have them there is I think they were major overachievers last year with a schedule that had them eating too many cookies.
Dude,
So I
Cookie
think
Monster
that
was my shit
the
back in the
cookies
day.
in this case, yeah. I just think, unfortunately, these cookies are going to crumble for the Giants with them having a much tougher schedule than probably what even a lot of people would have anticipated for them last year, as they ended up getting second place in the. Well, they ended up actually getting third in the division schedule instead of fourth in the division schedule. In third place is kind of where I have my Commanders. Not because I'm cynical, but because I think there's still going to be a little bit of hiccup. The schedule is harder. And we do have a small little murder row kind of sitting in there with the second game of the Eagles, then the Patriots, then the Seattle Giants, Cowboys, Dolphins. If we survive that middle, like that whole entire month of November with something reasonable, I think we can come out of this season a lot better than what we really had entered. Than what we really had entered the season with. If we could get through December 3rd with having at least a 500 record or better, we've succeeded.
Yeah.
And I think we will have succeeded more if we went through that 500 record, that 500 and above record, and beat Dallas. In second place, I do have just simply on the basis of just kind of how they position themselves and just kind of where they seem to look at the moment, minus some shenanigans happening, is the Dallas Cowboys. And I think there too will be a repeat division winner in the NFC East. I would love to not see that happen and have the Commanders take it, but I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles ultimately, I think, are going to feel like they're for real again. And now we go right into kind of closing this episode. A little bit shorter this time, especially because we somehow decided not to have a color commentary, and our primetime games are still in progress. And I think once I finally come up with a title for it, I will probably set up week 2 this week and probably then start to record week 3 once I finally get all of my other tasks taken care of.
Yeah, by the way,
Ruckus, what are some of your
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah? You were saying? You said it, by the way.
So, as Spence mentioned, our prime time is in progress. We did upload those videos like a couple days ago. So don't feel like you missed anything because we literally just didn't know whether or not we wanted to wait until like near the more tail end of when they start week 1, or if we just wanted to do it and get it over with out of the way. So
Yeah,
week 1 is already out, and then week 2 is coming soon.
So, and Ruckus's episode title for week 1 is Rob Schneider coaches the Dolphins. And my title for episode 1 is the DBs need a map. And you will see why I said what I said in that. But with all that aside, Ruckus, what was your stud and dud this week?
Alright, so my stud for this week was Justin Ross with the outstanding leaping catch that he had in preseason game 3. And a little mention to that was he almost had touchdowns in all his preseason games. And I think he might be one of the locks for one of the wide receiver roles, whether it's wide receiver 6 or 7. But we'll have to see tomorrow. And then my dud is Shane Buechele for being charged with 2 pick sixes in the preseason game 3 against the Cleveland Browns. And one of the former teammates that picked off Shane Buechele was former strong safety of the Kansas City Chiefs, Juan Thornhill.
Okay. So my stud this week, I will say that my stud this week was Darrington Evans for breaking through 5 Bears tackles to get to the end zone for a touchdown. And then an honorable mention also with the Chicago Bears, the hometown hero, Tyson Bagent, playing well in the preseason, getting his second touchdown in the preseason on the ground, and nearly had one through the air had it not been dropped. And the receiver was wide open. So it was on the receiver and not the quarterback. Tyson has a high likelihood of winning the quarterback 2 position battle that the Bears did not initially see coming when they picked him up as an undrafted free agent. My dud goes to the right side of the Nationals defense as they let a fly ball fall between 3 of them. Yeah, you would see that happen on like a legitimate blooper, but all 3 of them were just kind of standing there, all somewhat close together, like, duh, where's the ball?
Where's the leak,
Doink.
ma'am?
Where's the leak, man? I am surprised that with all that, the ball did not just go doink. Patrick, are you okay? Finland! But although this was not necessarily a dud, the situation kind of had to call for a Dudley situation. Call for the dud. New Mexico State quarterback Diego Pavia was tried to throw a pass to the end zone while having his helmet spun 180 degrees on his head. So basically, his helmet is completely on backwards because the defender face masked him. The helmet gets turned around. He tries to chuck the ball to the end zone, and to my surprise, it was still a fundamentally sound throwaway on the play, and of course, the play resulted in a face mask penalty. But Ruckus, did you also see the one face mask by, I believe it was a Chargers player, on Marvin Mims? That he goes and he basically grabbed like the inside of the helmet with both hands and pulls him down. It was bad enough of a flag that he got thrown out of the game.
Nailed it.
It was dangerous enough that it was and it was sad that it had to happen to Marvin Mims Jr. out of all people. One of your Boomer Sooners, and of course a player that I got to see live lose a few in the rain. But man, he can run though.
Yeah.
Ruckus, go ahead and take us out.
Alright. ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 67. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace.
Thank you for listening each and every week, and also stay tuned for more primetime stuff and other future episodes. Anyways, see you later.
Deuces.